Greetings, hello, and welcome to yet another interesting episode, which brings yet another interesting personality to you to inspire you because you are so special. I'm very happy to introduce to you none other than Colonel Aditya Singhal, my dear friend. Colonel Aditya Singhal has spent more than 3 decades serving the nation, and he's retired recently last year in September from the Indian Army, from the services. And today he is looking to inspire the youth all across the globe with all the amazing experience, wisdom, knowledge, and learning that he has gathered over the last more than 3 decades and charted geographies and terrains right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and gained so much of knowledge. And I'm very happy to have him on the show. So we're going to be asking him some very... Yes, welcome, Colonel Singhal.
Thank you.
We are so excited that I cannot contain my excitement to hear your journey. So I'm going to ask you some very interesting questions, and I look forward to a lot of pearls of wisdom for my audience from you.
I'll try my best.
And thank you so much for taking your time out. I know how busy you are. So tell us, who is Colonel Aditya Singhal? If you had to give me a small brief in a couple of lines about you, what would you have to say?
I would say I'm Colonel Aditya Singhal from the Armored Corps. I'm a tank man, basically. I joined the Indian Army in June 1987. And after serving the country for 33 years, I hung up my uniform in September last year. And so it was a very interesting and adventurous journey for me. Those 33 years, I served in various different kind of terrains, right from the high altitude areas of the Ladakh, and then the valley in J&K, and thereafter plains of Punjab, deserts of Rajasthan and Gujarat, Karnataka, and now Maharashtra, in different roles and different organizations. So it has been a very interesting, inspiring, and amazing journey for me, and also for my family. And finally, since everybody has a shelf life in whatever profession you are doing, so because of the organizational requirement, I finally retired in the month of September last year, and I'm settled in Pune presently. Now, as they say that even though you are a little older to serve more in the armed forces, but you are still young as far as the outside world is concerned, where you can serve as long as you want till the time you are physically fit and mentally robust. So of course, like everybody else, people started asking me, "Ab tum kya karoge? What are your plans and what are your aspirations?" So while all this was happening, COVID happened. So it changed the entire perspective of the entire world, and people were affected in a very drastic manner. So then I had to also rethink my purpose as to what I have to do, because traditional jobs like a typical 9 to 5 job was not my cup of tea. I said, I have enough of vlogging, and now I want to do things my way and have my time to myself. So while all this was going on, so in my last few years of service, I had a chance to work with the National Cadet Corps. So I was commanding an NCC battalion for 2 years in Mehsana near Ahmedabad, and 2 years I spent in Karnataka in a place called Udupi. So those 4 years I was interacting with the young boys and girls. We were training them not only for military subjects and the training program which was prepared for them as far as the NCC is concerned. We were also guiding them in their personality development to make them better citizens. And so during those 4 years, I realized I was enjoying my work, and you got a very good feeling of satisfaction. So I thought this is what is my calling, and I decided to continue the same thing after I hung up my uniform. But due to COVID, I realized that your physical training environment is no more relevant. So you have to upskill yourself according to requirement of the environment and your target audience. And so what I started doing was I started exploring the avenues, and I started learning about the digital platform. And during that time, I came across Brigadier Cecil Basin, and he was conducting a very interesting program called Train the Online Trainer. So I attended that program, and from that program, I picked up a lot of things. I learned a lot of new apps and techniques and digital technologies, which helped me in uh, doing what I wanted to do. And so here I am. Now I am still a work in progress, because I feel learning is a never-ending process. You can keep on learning from not only from programs and training, but also from people. And during these training programs, since they were all online, I came across with a large number of people from different areas, different fields of expertise, and it was a very, very interesting journey for me. And finally, I am now feel I'm ready to start what I wanted to do. So that is as as I am now, as I am now. Yeah.
Wow, wow. Awesome. I think in a very short mm, gist, you have tried to summarize over 3 decades of your journey,
Yeah.
which is commendable, because I know for a fact that life in the army, every day would have a story, and I think
Absolutely.
you can
Absolutely.
write a story, you can write a book,
Yes,
of
I
every
can.
day of your life.
Absolutely.
So I would definitely like to spend a little bit of time about your what made you decide to join the armed forces, and how was it initially when you took that decision, whether you were driven by something internal or was it something external. And uh, once you took that decision at a very young age, I'm sure, initially we have this skepticism. Everybody does have the skepticism of, have I done the right thing? So how could you share a little bit of the beginning of your journey and the journey itself while you were serving the nation, please?
Komalji, initially, while I was in school, I was a average student, and those days, happened to be the eldest in my family. We are three brothers, and though when we grew up, so the we did not have so many avenues of selecting a profession for yourself as are available today. So those days was, once a child will become a doctor, another will become an engineer, a third may become IAS officer, or maybe go to the armed forces or police. So these were the standard professions that were available that time. And my father wanted me to become an engineer. So during my after my 10th, I took science in 11th and 12th. And when we finished our 10th, that time the education system changed, and 10 plus 2 system was introduced. And so ours was the first batch of 10 plus 2 system. I completed my 12th in 1979. And those days, if you get a second division, high second division, it was good enough. And if you get a first division, you were very good. And if you get a what you used to those days called above 75% on distinction, then you were a genius. So I was just about average. I got around middle of second division. So I appeared for the engineering exam those days. We had IIT had an entrance exam, and all other engineering colleges were based on your percentage in your 12th or 11th standard. And I also appeared for NDA like everybody else. So I thought, but fortunately or unfortunately, I could not clear the NDA written exam. And also IIT was a difficult thing for me, because I was not very good in maths and science those days. And so I went in for my normal graduation. And while I joined my graduation, so obviously one had to think, those days, at least you should be minimum a graduate to get a good, decent job outside. And so the aim was, my father said, we finish your graduation, then thereafter we'll see. And I took the BSc, and I realized that it was not as easy as we had thought. So I could not clear my second year, though, even though since we had done our 12th, so we got admission in the second year directly. We did not have to do our first year. So when I failed in my BSc second year, it was a big shock for me and the entire family. And we thought, okay, let's give it another try. And then later on, somebody suggested, why don't you go to a career counselor? And those days there was no system of career counselors. So luckily, I was in Jaipur that time. And in the Rajasthan University, we had a very good career counselor. Her name was Mrs. Unithon. So we went to her. She conducted a series of aptitude tests, and then she suggested that it will be better that I switch off from science to commerce. And they're seeing my aptitude. Since I did not want to go in for arts, and so she said, "You will try for commerce, you will do well." And I did that, and luckily I got for the first time in my life, I got a first division my second year in commerce. So that was the only time I got first division. And then I managed to finish my BCom. And once I finished my BCom, again there was now what? So those days for a BCom graduate, it was either you do CA or you do ICWA. Now again, same thing. You are not very good at study, so I did not want to go in for that. And so somebody suggested, why don't you appear for armed forces again, give the CDS exam? So I said, okay, yeah, that I can do. I gave my exam, so written exam. And since it used to be a little longish process, so those days computers were just being introduced. So my uncle, my Mosaji was in the Navy and my Tauji was in the Air Force. So my Mosaji suggested, why don't you do a course in computer programming? That is a upcoming field and you'll do very well. So I went to Delhi. I did a course in computer programming basic from NIT in New Delhi. And then I worked for about a year with a private company, and also side by side prepared for my CDS exam. And so when I went for the interview, I cleared the written exam easily. And when I went for my interview, I realized I could not. First time I could not clear the SSB. So they said, no, not to worry. You have 3 to 4 chances. You appear again. And then in the meanwhile, I was working with that as a computer programmer. I picked up a job in regional computer center Chandigarh, and it was a government job. So, but the thing was, one wanted to at that stage, one wanted to get out of your house and be independent on your own and stand on your own feet. So that motivated you to go out and face the world. And luckily, I cleared managed to clear my written exam, managed to clear my SSB, and in January '86 I joined the Indian Military Academy. So while all this was going on, my Mosaji and my Tauji supported me a lot, and they had some of their friends who guided me how to face the interview. And one of my old classmate from school, by that time he had already joined the academy, and whenever he used to come home and he used to meet up here, come in uniform, so that also was a motivating factor. And when I was working in Chandigarh, he was posted in Amritsar, so I went and visited his unit also. He was an Armored Corps officer, so that motivated me to join opt for Armored Corps. And luckily, I got Armored Corps. I got commissioned in 68 Armored Regiment. Joined my regiment in July '87, and then my journey in the army began. So it was like I feel they say ki your destiny takes you wherever you have to go ultimately, whatever you may try. And I was destined to join the armed forces and managed to do that. And that is how all this happened to me.
Wow, what a roller coaster ride indeed. so
only
many.
advantage of all this was that since you face a lot of challenges or failures early in the life, so it made you more strong mentally, and you were ready to face any kind of challenges. And of course, so that was a big learning for me. And you also learn to live within your means. Where when I was working in Chandigarh, I was getting just about 500 rupees per month as my salary, and out of that I was paying 250 rupees for as a rent for my room in the YMCA hostel. So you were managing only into 50 rupees the entire month. But those days, you could get a very good meal for 5 rupees. So that is how one could survive easily. But of course, today 250 is nothing. You can't get anything in 250 rupees. You're not even a
Not
cup of
even a cup
coffee.
of coffee.
Yeah. So
So amazing, amazing. I'm so happy to hear this, because a lot of youth today seem to give up very easily, too easily. And you have seen so many different you changed from science to commerce. You gave your exam once and did not clear, and again somebody encouraged you, your tauji, like you said, your tauji and your chachaji, they kind of helped you, mosaji,
mm,
they helped you to give the exam. They said, okay, why don't you try this one again? And you successfully also heard them out.
yeah,
And it's very important to have, somebody to kind of show you the path, show you the
absolutely.
way.
Yeah,
And you were blessed to have some people like that, who were your well wishers, who could see what you could not see,
absolutely.
and then guide you, across. So if I know that we can probably spend the whole night doing this interview, because 3 decades of having served the country and traveled from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, I'm sure every single day, every single moment, you would have breathed so much of life experiences. And you are such a reservoir, and you're such an amazing library of all of that. So this interview today is not going to do all the justice that I would love it to. However, if you had to uh, just give a crux of the lessons that you think were some of the most important lessons, life-changing lessons through this journey, these 3 decades that you spent serving the nation. If you had to just give like 3 or 4 such lessons, which you will carry till maybe the last day of your life, what
Uh,
would those be?
So, Komal, since all of us who are in the armed forces are expected to be disciplined, so that was one of the major hallmark of our organization. And then another thing was like your unit was like your immediate family. And our system is such that when you join your unit, you spend about a month with your men, where you stay with them, do what they are doing, live in the same barracks, eat what they're eating, use the same washrooms, use the same toilet, and everything was same. So what happens is they also associate, and they resonate with you. They accept you as the leader, especially when you join initially in the unit. And then in addition, you also have the system, like today we talk about mentors. We have a system wherein whenever a young officer joins his unit, there's a system called senior subaltern. So the CNM was what you call lieutenant, who's in the unit. He is the in charge of all the youngsters under him, and he is responsible for all their training, whether it is professional training, whether their turnout, whether their behavior, how they interact with their men, how they interact with the officers, senior officers, and even the families. So, and both officially, professionally, and in the social circle, it is like a family. It is like a big, huge joint family where you are all part of it. And so you never feel the difference or that loneliness or homesickness, which generally people do feel when they go out of the house for the first time. And you're really looked after by this family of yours. The commanding officer is of like your father. So he's also called the
Wow.
old man. So when you are in the office, he will tear you apart like anything for small things. So that if you do not do your work properly initially, if you don't learn to do that, then you'll not value your this thing. Second was the importance of time. We say everything should be on time. You cannot be even a second late for that place wherever you have to be present. So we had a system that I always used to keep my watch 5 minutes faster. And as a young second lieutenant, we were supposed to be 15 minutes before the given time. So that the value of time was one thing which we learned. And of course, respect to the human being, giving respect to your men who are commanding. It's not that you automatically get respect from them. You have to earn that. That was another big lesson we learned. And also we had to there's one thing like you have to people come from all walks of life. There are people who are second or third generation from the army armed forces, and there are people who are like me who are joining the armed forces for the first time, who have no idea about it. And that is one thing. So you learn to adjust, adapt to the changing environment. And another thing is your families and your children also get into the same mold, because normally you stay at one place for 2 to 3 years max, and then you move either with your unit or you go to a different unit or different headquarter to serve. So you also learn to work in different environment, different terrains, meet a large number of people from all walks of life. So that way it develops your personality in a much better way, and you learn to accept everybody as they are, become
Wow.
non-judgmental. And then of course you have to be perfect at your work. Because one small mistake or even forgetfulness will cost dearly to you, not only you but your men and the entire unit, if you are to do such a thing in operation. So training was the biggest focus. So all those things made us more responsible in every facet or every work that we took on. So this was a big
Wow.
learning lesson. And when we came out, well, like it happens with most of the army officers and even the men, when they come out after retiring, when they pick up a job in the civil sector, so they have to, they also behave in the same manner as they are in the armed forces, and which is at times they're not liked by the people, because there that system is totally different. And so then you have to do that, go through the process of unlearning a few things and learning a new things. So but because you have grown into that environment, it is very easy for us to do that. And of course you get to see a lot of new places. You got to go to exotic places also, like Ladakh and desert, where people want to spend money, a large amount of money, to go and to see that places. So that is another big thing that you learn in life. Yeah, so these are the few lessons I have imbibed from my service in the army.
Wow. Wow. That was such a lot of power packed information, right from discipline, punctuality, respect, the ability to adapt and adjust, uh, the sense of urgency that comes, and the sense of responsibility that comes, uh, because of one person the entire unit can suffer and the entire mission can go for a toss. Um, and so to realize that even though I may be the weakest or the smallest link in the unit, I am still an important uh, link, because I contribute what I contribute.
Absolutely. Hmm.
So to recognize that that power of the tiniest little contribution that you can make to your unit to make the entire mission a successful mission, and then uh, of course, because of that comes perfection, because then you learn to do things
Absolutely.
perfectly after all the mistakes and all the punishments. I know the punishments in the army are very,
Absolutely.
very severe.
Yeah.
You really have to pay a price.
At times,
And some
yes.
of those difficult punishments, which human beings normally will not be able to go through easily without tears. And of course, what you
You
rightly
expect it to be physically and mentally strong in all times and always. That is the main part. Otherwise, it's not easy for you to survive. In so
Yeah, and I think the ability to be present in
yes,
the now
yeah,
is something that the Indian Army, all armies for that matter, they teach you
yeah,
these values of sense of presence, sense of being in that moment.
mhm,
uh, that is so important in that particular position, no matter where you are in the hierarchy.
absolutely.
uh, so it's such a wonderful wisdom that you have just imparted. And I know when I talk to you more at another point in time where
Right.
I'll do a detailed interview, there's so much more I'm going to extract out of you. I already feel that time is a commodity which kind of can really uh, kill you at times.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so after you retired, you chose the journey that you have chosen today. And I would like to think that some part of it did come from the way you started and the way you struggled to choose your career, maybe.
E-
But I would like to hear from you, what exactly drove you to choose this path now?
As I mentioned earlier, since I was posted, while I was posted in NCC, and when especially in Mehsana and Udupi. Mehsana about 75 kilometers north of Ahmedabad when you're going towards Udaipur. And the children who were coming to us for NCC training, so we were covering the entire rural belt of Gujarat. And I realized when I met them for the first time, when they used to come for NCC camps to Ahmedabad, some of them were those kids who had come out from their village for the first time. And that was one stark thing. And second was that they did not have the access to all the latest technologies, latest avenues, and options which are available to a child who's staying in a metro like Bombay or Pune or any of the cities. Both in terms of education and the standard of education that they're getting, and also the opportunity. So, since one of the charter of NCC is to train a second line of defense, and you act as a feeder for boys and girls to join the armed forces. You have a special NCC special scheme, wherein a C certificate holder can appear directly for the interview. He or she doesn't have to prepare a written exam. So while we were conducting NCC training, so we used to identify these kids who were really, passionate about joining the armed forces, and we could. They were excelling in the all the activities which they were doing during the NCC. So we used to train them how to face the NCC interview. And I realized that though they have the talent, they have the energy, and they want to join the armed forces, but they did not get the correct guidance. And even NCC also, we were actually not training them to face the SSB interview. It was more of a making them more disciplined, making them participate in social service activities, and making them more responsible citizens rather than preparing them to face the interview. That was an additional aspect. And like we had a motto in NCC which we coined that nation first and character must. So focus was on character building. Focus was on training them to become better citizens. And so that was one thing which motivated me to take this path. And second thing which I realized when, especially when I was in Karnataka, I was in Udupi, there I realized the children were very, very intelligent. and maybe it could be because of the what they call that demographic of that particular state or region. They were very intelligent, very smart, and of course they had that advantage that they the medium of instruction was either English or Kannada. Whereas in Gujarat, it was mainly Gujarati medium in all the rural schools, and places like Ahmedabad and Baroda, people did have access to English medium schools. So that was one thing. And also the official working language, I realized in both the states. Karnataka was Kannada, and in Gujarat it was Gujarati. So when they come within the state, they can do very well. They can do whatever they want to do. But if they want to go compete at the national level or international level, then they lack those soft skills and other qualities. So I realized this is one field where I can really contribute because of having that experience in that particular field. And same thing I realized here in Maharashtra also. So my focus is to not to go in for training the kids who are in Pune or Bombay, but to the regions which are slightly though which do not have these facilities, to focus on them. And because right now, because of COVID, it is all digital, so it is easier for you to get to a wider audience in this factor. So this was the main reason which drove me to choose the path which I decided to choose, to become a coach and mentor for the youth.
Wow, we are so blessed to have you to do this and to serve uh, the audience, that is the youth, at the right age, because at that age it is very important to have somebody who carries the kind of wisdom that you have in you, and somebody who has been there, done that, and shouldered so many responsibilities, not just towards the nation, but also towards humanity itself and towards your own family,
Yeah.
and struck a balance between all of that, which I'm sure was not an easy journey at all.
Yeah, it was
And
quite difficult at times. You had a mix of all the emotions and feelings and advantages and disadvantages at different points of life. Yeah.
and I'm very confident that the youth that you train or the youth that you mentor will definitely be of a different league altogether, because you have seen now also the civil side of the world,
Yes.
and you have already seen so many years of being on the in the armed forces and serving the nation, and it's such a lethal, deadly combination to have a mix of the two now, to train the youth and those who are seekers and hungry for knowledge, and who really want to transform their life, would definitely be able to gain a lot from you. And before I end our conversation for today,
Yeah.
which I would not want to end ideally, but because of the paucity of time,
Yeah.
I guess somewhere we'll have to
Absolutely.
uh, for now say goodbye. But before I do that, I would like you to share one message that you would like to give to today's youth, with all the experience and all the knowledge and all the wisdom that you have gathered. If there was one message that you had to leave for the youth today, what would that be on my show?
So the message to the youth from my side would be that irrespective of whatever profession or field they choose, it is not necessary that it should be armed forces only. It could be any profession. There nowadays there's no dearth of options available to you. In fact, you can actually follow your passion and you can convert your passion into profession. The only thing which what one needs to do is maintain your focus and then follow that through with your full energy and full dedication and determination. If you do that, I think you can achieve whatever you want to do. And I also had like long time back, I had read a book where the title of which was "Tough Times Never Last, Tough People Always Do." So I always believe in that factor, and it is not only about physical fitness, toughness, it is more about your mental toughness. If you are mentally tough and if you are dedicated, your focus is maintained, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. And of course, you have to become a better citizen, and then only you can contribute towards the making India the superpower which we are seeking to be so in the next few years to come. Yeah, and that is what I would say.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow, that was such a powerful message Colonel Aditya Singhal has given
Thank you
all
very
of
much.
us about tough times don't last and tough people do. And you can turn your passion to profession. I think that so resonates with me because that's what made me what I am today.
Yeah.
And of course, dedication, discipline is something that has to be so strong that can lead you to become a better version of you. I think you've really summed it up so beautifully and so simply. Um, I'm so humbled to be in your presence.
Oh, thank
And
you.
once again, I thank you,
Thank
Colonel
you. Thank
Aditya,
you.
for all the time that you have given and for these wonderful pearls of wisdom. And audience, I thank you for joining us, this channel of mine, which is Heartful Conversations with Komal. And you will definitely get to hear more of such heartful conversations with more and more such personalities who can really help you transform and transition and become a better version of your own self. So thank you once again, Colonel, and thank you once again,
Thank you,
audience. Thank you so
Komal. Thank
much.
you.